Fluminense managed to avoid saying goodbye to the Libertadores with a saving goal by John Kennedy at the very end of the match against Independiente Rivadavia, and the message was clear. There's no way for the number 9, the top scorer of the season, now with 10 goals to be a substitute at Fluminense anymore. For me, Zubeldia starts the game with a clear mistake, starting with that old-school striker obsession. And this mistake is even worse when he knows that Lucio Acosta is fit to play. Lucio Acosta played for 90 minutes, he's coming back from an injury. We didn't know if Lucio Acosta would be fit to start or not. Fluminense chose to include him in the squad since the match against Internacional. He ended up not being included in the squad, but he went on that trip to Beira Rio because Fluminense went straight to Argentina. So from the travel squad for Beira Rio, we already knew Lucio Acosta was being readied in training while Fluminense were away from Rio de Janeiro ahead of facing Independiente Rivadavia. The expectation was that the midfielder would come on during the match, but it was surprising to see that he was there. The fans were surprised. Those of us who follow the club were surprised to see that the player was there to start the match. And then, for me, Zubeldia's mistake is even bigger. Because the player who understands Lucio Acosta best and combines best with him is John Kennedy, the team's top scorer, and he was on the bench. Acosta has been Fluminense's best player this season and was their best player at the end of last year too. Fluminense is once again superior. At Maracanã, against Independiente Rivadavia, they were better. But this Argentine team is well coached, which explains why they're leading the Argentine Championship. They're strong on counterattacks and dangerous in the air. It's very difficult, and that's where I think Fluminense made a mistake. When Fluminense conceded the goal, there was a lack of pressure on that short corner. It wasn't the first short corner. If I'm not mistaken, it was the third or fourth short corner from Independiente Rivadavia, and Fluminense doesn't put pressure on that high ball. And Alex Arce ends up coming in with a lot of determination on a very well-crossed ball, and he ends up beating Fluminense's defenders in the air, who obviously have the obligation to clear the ball. The other guys in the box also have the obligation to make things difficult for Alex Arce, but that ball is really tough. The Argentine team's striker comes in head-on, and it's really hard to stop him. So I think more than just the defense making it hard for him to head the ball, they also need to disrupt that cross, which ends up being more dangerous than the corner kick itself, that short corner ball when it comes in. And it's not well pressured by the player who's nearby. But then Fluminense manages to sustain pressure. They have much more ball possession. They exchange a lot more passes. They control the game when they have the ball at their feet. But they can't be effective with a very poor finishing. It's very difficult. But they can't be effective. But they can't be effective with Castillo. Very poor, unable to control the ball, unable to hold the ball up, a lackluster Savarino. And Kanobi also making a lot of mistakes. In the second half, Fluminense Zubeldia is slow to make changes. Fluminense even has 2 clear chances. One with Castillo heading the ball. Lucio Acosta makes a great play, puts the ball right on Castillo's head. He misses, sends it wide. And in another play, after a 1-2, Kanobi on the right side. The player is free, he has both corners to choose where to shoot. He shoots across goal, but way off target, really way off. Right after that, he's substituted by Kevin Serna. There's a good chance that Nonato has 2, where he could have passed it to Castillo. I don't know if he didn't trust the Argentine, but the ball also came nicely for Nonato to shoot. The issue is it falls to his left foot and he shoots over the bar. Anyway, Fluminense in the second half had several chances to take the lead, several chances to tie and have more time to go for the win, but they didn't do it. They managed to be even more incisive after John Kennedy and Soteldo came on. Zubeldia gave up a defensive midfielder and put Alisson in as the holding midfielder. Fluminense starts playing with Alisson, Soteldo, Acosta, Serna after a while, John Kennedy and Castillo. With that, they have 2 players in the box. John Kennedy is a little more mobile. Castillo stays up front. Soteldo, as always, is much better one-on-one than anyone he faces. It's very hard for Soteldo to come into a game and not have a big advantage one-on-one. Usually he creates a lot of plays when he comes on in the second half. And then, whether it's effective or not depends a lot on his choices, his decision-making when he shoots crosses, and also on who's in the box. This time, he wasn't that effective, but just the fact that he's there and wins the one-on-ones, he ends up throwing the opposing defense off balance. And, for sure, that made a difference for John Kennedy, being able to get the ball on a rebound and tie the game in the 45th minute of the second half. I also want to highlight two refereeing decisions that were, at the very least, questionable. There's a play at the 26th minute of the second half, if I'm not mistaken, with Castillo, where Cannabio puts the ball into the box. Castillo goes for the challenge with the goalkeeper and pushes the ball towards the keeper. And in the challenge, the referee ends up calling a foul, but the ball hits Castillo on his head without him noticing, kind of unintentionally, and goes into the goal. And the referee stops the play, calling the foul, and obviously the play goes to review.
Yeah.
On the broadcast, it wasn't clear if the referee blew the whistle before or after the ball went in. The play is very fast, but the game was stopped. It wasn't a goal for Fluminense, but the play seems very normal, just a challenge. There, Castillo went for the ball as the goalkeeper caught it, but it's unclear if the ball was secured since Castillo was already moving. So, there's still doubt about the play's validity. And the other one is a challenge where Serna tries to go for the ball, the goalkeeper arrives late and touches his foot. The contact is very light, but at that speed, in my opinion, it's enough to bring down the Fluminense player, to bring down Serna, who falls to the ground. The referee once again didn't see the play, didn't see the penalty at the moment of the play, and he wasn't called over by VAR either. The VAR chose not to call the referee may have said he saw the play, and that's why the VAR chose not to call him. With that, Fluminense remains at the bottom of the group with 2 points. La Guaira is in third place with 3, Bolivar went up to 5, and Independiente Rivadavia has 10 in first place.
Posição.
Now, the other game in the group, Bolivar and Deportivo La Guaira, also ended 1-1 over in Venezuela. Fluminense still controls its own destiny to qualify. If they beat La Guaira in the head-to-head match, they'll already pass the team that has 1 point more, they'll have 2 points more, and Fluminense will play against La Guaira at Maracanã. But before that, they face Bolivar. And to control their own destiny, they need to beat Bolivar by 3 goals because Bolivar beat Fluminense by 2 goals. And that's a new tiebreaker rule in the Libertadores. It's a head-to-head matchup. Since Bolivar beat Fluminense in Bolivia, up there at altitude, by 2 goals, Fluminense needs to beat Bolivar by 3 goals at Maracanã to have the advantage in the tiebreaker criteria. And then Tricolor controls its own destiny to move on to the second phase of the Libertadores, the knockout stage. Tricolor's next match is now on Saturday against Vitória at 4 p.m. Brasilia time at Maracanã for the Brazilian Championship. You can check out everything about Fluminense's daily news here on Lance's YouTube and on the Lance website.
So did you like this video? So give it a like, share it with your friends, and take the opportunity to subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification bell to get updates on all the content published here on Lance.